Hello there, and welcome back to the Kill a Bit of Time podcast. Thanks for listening. Winter's here. There's a chill in the air. I've had to get some of my plants in from the garden, or they'll die. Today we're going to be talking a bit about digital ID, as my sister likes to say. It's flavour of the month, and I was going to link nicely onto the Chinese social credit score system. So sit back, relax, tune in, tune out, and enjoy my ramblings on today's episode of the Kill a Bit of Time podcast. So here we are. I've been trying to control the contents of my thoughts this week, and it's proving to be more challenging than I first anticipated. I'll give a bit of background. I'm trying to, do a little bit of self-improvement every now and then. I've recently been dealing with stress levels and succeeding quite nicely. I've got a few little tricks up my sleeve now. And so I moved on to controlling the contents of my thoughts, as everyone does. Every now and then you have a little neggy little thought, or about something that you've done, or something you've said, or someone said to you, or something you're worried about in the future, or something that you're annoyed about in the past. It's just some sort of negative thought that directly links into a negative emotion. So my theory is, if I can control the contents of my thoughts, then I can control my emotions. It's like a little cheat, but it's easier said than done. Because what I found is if you involuntarily have a negative thought, they just crop up, don't they? I mean, you have to have a bit of foresight, and you have to have a bit of retrospect just to operate in life. And every now and then, one of those looking forwards or looking backs turfs up a little negative thought there. Now, that's not the problem. The problem is that thought having a link to a negative emotion, you forgetting what that thought was, but you still hold on to that negative emotion, and you carry that with you for hours or sometimes the whole day. So what I've been trying to do is when I have a negative thought, try to just to move on as quickly as possible, and just try to just snuff out any sort of negative emotion that's directly linked to it. So it doesn't matter. Whatever's going on, whatever that thought was, it doesn't matter. But but for some reason, when you do that, your brain, when you forget what annoyed you, your brain desperately tries to remember what it was that it pissed you off, which makes no sense at all. Why does your brain want to, reenact, want to fucking bring something back up that pissed you off? Why does your brain want to do that over again? And I think it's trying to justify to itself why it's feeling pissed off. So it goes, oh, there must be a reason. I want to know what that reason is. But what you should be doing is going, I can't remember what pissed me off, so there's no need to feel pissed off. So let's just think about something else and get on with my fucking day. And that's, sometimes a bit of a challenge. But that is what self-improvement is all about. If it was easy, it wouldn't be a challenge, would it? It's meant to be a challenge. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would just be living fucking in fucking la la land, skipping down the road. Life comes up with these challenges, little tests for you to overcome. And this one I've sort of given to myself in a way. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Sorry, just gonna have a little sip of my brew there. I was chatting to this guy called Reese in the office the other day, and I was trying to wind him up, and it wasn't working because he was sort of like giving me minimal responses, and he was doing something on his phone. I could tell, he wasn't getting wound up, and if he was paying fucking attention to what I was saying, he would have been getting wound up, because I was having some top tier fucking irritating fucking stuff coming out my mouth there. He should have been getting wound up. So I was like, what are you doing over there? And he's like, oh, it won't be a minute, I'm just finishing this game. And he does this game religiously every day. And after he finished his little bit on there, I was like, you finished now, have you? He's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, how do you feel? He went, pissed off. I was like, why? He says, oh, it pisses me off every day. It's just this game that he plays, and it always pisses him off. Because he I don't know if it's linked to money or whatever. It's just this weird little game with gems on it. You're flicking the gems around. I was like, if you're pissed off, why are you playing it? And he's like, because I'm addicted to it. And I was like, all right, okay, you're addicted to that. I said, but it pisses you off every day. He was like, yeah. I said, so really, you're just addicted to being pissed off then, aren't you? He was like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it that way. And that was a good conversation. That was one of the better conversations I had on the day. I don't like small talk. How was the weather? How did you sleep? It's getting cold, innit? Yeah, oh, knackered, innit? Yeah. All that small talk bullshit annoys me. I like real conversations like that one. I don't know him that well, but we instantly got to the bottom of a little problem he was having just from just from having a little chat there, and I enjoyed that. Difficulties I've been having this week is it took me 3 days to eat a salted caramel Jude's ice cream this week. And the reason for that is because I've got a small child. And sometimes small things become incredibly hard to achieve. Sometimes just getting a coffee in the morning is not possible because there's a long line of shit before the preparation of that caffeinated beverage is something that can be achieved. I've got to get up myself, get dressed, washed, and all that stuff. Got the brush to the little girl's teeth. Got a bum change to do, which me and my missus share, depending on who's got more time. Little girl's got to get dressed. Everyone comes downstairs. Little girl needs to put her shoes on. The little girl needs breakfast. All these things, and there's just the fucking cat's meowing at me. The cat wants breakfast. I'm like, fucking hell. And there's a lot of people and animals. I've only got one animal and one person and a missus, but those three in itself takes a lot of time before I can enjoy a nice little cup of coffee. So a lot of the time, I don't get one. I waste a lot of electricity these days, just boiling the kettle, and then there's for no reason, just letting it go cool again. But I don't let it stress me out. I've been doing all right at that. It's like if I put the kettle on 10 times, I might get 2 coffees out of it. Think about the 2 coffees, not about the 8 coffees you're not having. But yeah, so in an effort to sort of halt any negative thought cycles that I have, that come like in an effort to sort of control the contents of my thoughts, I've come up with this new tactic, and it's called a now check. A now check. I'll check how I'm feeling right now. So if I'm worrying about something in the future, or if I'm pissed off about something in the past, I just go, right, how do I feel right now? How do I feel now? And it's always fine. The answer is always absolutely fine. And so the things that you're pissed off about just become irrelevant. Could be. I've realised that I catastrophize quite a lot of the time. I think about things that could happen that definitely won't, or probably won't. I was thinking about last night when I woke up in bed. I was like, I hope I don't get sacked for whatever it might be. And in the morning, I wake up and go, of course you're not going to get sacked. It's that your brain just likes to come up with these little catastrophes for you to dwell on sometimes. It makes no sense at all. But anyway, I do these little now checks. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was doing the washing up. I was about to leave to Gloucester. I come up with this time in my head. I said, right, we're setting off by 10:30. We're setting off by 10:30. At that time in my head. It was getting to 10:25. The washing up wasn't done. I was furiously trying to get the washing up done. We're running behind schedule. Little girl didn't have her shoes on. And I was thinking, there's no way we're going to be out this door by 10:30. No way. And I was getting stressed. And I was like thinking, fuck's sake. And I was just feeling stressed, negative. I was feeling negative. I was being moody. And I was like, hang on a minute. This is prime time for you to put your little now test into effect. I was like, right, how do I feel now? Just now, right now. My hands are wet. I feel well in myself. Everything's fine. Everything's actually fine. Right now, everything's fucking sound. And I was like, right, so what are you worried about? Right, so there's nothing to worry about. So right now, everything is absolutely dandy. Life's pretty sweet right now. I was like, that's good. That is good. Then I just thought, why does it matter if we set off a little bit later? It actually doesn't. It actually makes no difference whatsoever. If we set off 5 minutes later, it doesn't matter. So it worked. I did it in the office the other day. I was placing an order. I started thinking about Christmas and those fucking wankers trying to make me do 600 covers from the kitchen. My kitchen's not that fucking big. And I started to get wound up whilst I was doing the order. I started typing really heavily. And I was like, perfect time for a cheeky little now check. And I was looking around. I was feeling the feelings of my fingers. I was smelling the smells of the office with my nose. I was looking out my eyes at the post-it notes. And everything was fine. And I was like, so right now, everything's actually fine. Everything is absolutely fine. So what's there to be worried about? There isn't, is there? And then I continued my little order in peace. So my little now checks. I'm enjoying them. And I'm looking forward to the next time I can, slap one into place. But anyway, that's enough about self improvement. And we're going to move swiftly on to a cheeky little plunge. We're going to do a cheeky little plunge into digital ID, which is flavour of the month. Oi, oi. I could do a little jingle there. The jingle's going to be called Flavour of the Month, and it goes a little something like this. Flavour of the Month. Flavour. So here we have it, Flavour of the Month. And so Flavour of the Month this month is digital ID. I'm sure you've all heard about it getting rolled out by 2029, announced by Keir Starmer a couple of weeks ago. And so my first thoughts on it is just that I don't like it. My gut instinct says no. I don't want it. I don't like that. I mean, I don't want any more sort of like my personal information being sort of just accessible to authority or the powers that be. There's just something that just doesn't feel right about that. And it sort of reminds me of the Chinese social credit score system, which I've researched before. But they say that the main reason for it is to just control who has the right to work in the UK, and it's sort of like a direct response to the migration crisis. But I feel like public opinion sort of has been manipulated by the media. It's like for months now, probably a year or more, in the media, in every single tabloid media, it's been, and on the news, it's small boats coming across, migration crisis in capital bold letters. All you hear about in the news is people getting raped and stabbed by migrants and things like that. And obviously, you always got to take the news with a pinch of salt because there's always an agenda. There's always an agenda. They do coverage on things that suits their agenda. So I'm always a little bit wary about how much I not believe. I'm sure it's true, but it's just how much it's biased. Like if there was a white male who raped and stabbed someone, would that have the same coverage as if a migrant did? I'm not too sure. And my guess is no. And I'm sure there is a migration crisis. I'm 100% sure of it. But I do think it is being inflated a lot by the media. And for the reason is what I think is for this agenda. So they've been trying to fearmonger in the British public. They're trying to paint out we got this huge fucking problem. We got a big problem on our hands, guys. This migration crisis is out of control. But never fear. The government is here. And they're offering you a solution in the form of digital ID. So I feel like that there's a certain narrative in the media, and there's been going on for a long time now, and it's all in an effort to sway public opinion into getting behind this digital ID business. That's my personal stance on it. And I'm not going to get too political. I don't like talking about politics on the podcast. But in this instance, I know it's difficult to avoid all subjects. Sometimes subjects just dip their toes into politics, and I think this is what this one's doing, or maybe a leg actually. But I was talking to my mate about this, and he was like, "Well, don't the government have all the details anyway? So what difference sort of would it make?" And he said, "And also, do you really think that the British public would allow it to happen anyway?" And my response to that was, "Well, it's gradual, isn't it? Anything that they think that the great British public won't get on board with, then they'll just sort of introduce gradually, so that you don't even notice." Like censorship, for example. Censorship has been an ongoing thing. It started ages ago, and now it's to a point now where it's, for example, censorship. The development of that is it starts off as a faux pas, and then it's considered rude, then it's considered offensive, and then it becomes illegal. And once it becomes illegal, they can then control you, and it's that gradual process that's followed. And I think it will be similar in the way that the digital ID thing will be processed as well. It starts off as it's just ID. It's just ID. And if they can't get everyone on board with it, then they'll just roll it out in a district where they're just one district, like Newcastle, for example. They just roll it out in one county. And they'll say, right, let's roll it out in a county where the council on board. They'll incentivize the council to take it on. They'll probably give one of the councils a load more investment. They'll say, look, we'll give you a few more £100,000 investment if you take the digital ID thing on board. they'll probably choose a county that's more likely to take it on anyway. And then once they can prove the concept in one county, and they can say, see, Newcastle's doing it all right. What's the problem? And then they're more likely to be able to roll it out to the whole country. And then once they've got everyone's digital ID on the system, and then it'll probably become an app on your phone, then they can roll in money into it as well. They can. You already do purchases on your phone. So we're not that far away from being able to just roll it all up into one nice little app there, and then we're not far off them just being able to control a lot more than you think than seems apparent right now. It just seems like the beginnings of a big social engineering project. I'll be surprised if they get the whole population of the whole population of the UK on board in terms of public opinion. But if your life is threatened and your livelihood is threatened, then people will just fall in line, I think. Like, I've got a stable job, I've got a family, and at the end of the day, if someone turned around to me and said, right, you have to get a digital ID or you're going to lose your job, you won't see me out with picards, protesting in the street, put my whole life in jeopardy. I'll probably just fall in line. And I think most of the British public will do the same. They talk a big game. They say they're not going to do it. But at the end of the day, if they roll it out and they say this is mandatory, this is a mandatory rollout. Okay, at the end of the day, the government can do that. And look, if you don't want to do it, they will de-incentivize you protesting and not getting on board with it to such a point where it's going to have such an adverse effect on your life. You'll have basically no choice other than to fucking fall in line. And most people, especially people with children, they will do it. They can say they won't do it till they're fucking blue in the face. But at the end of the day, they're going to fucking do it, aren't they? What I'm worried about is if it gets to a point where, so let's say they've got your digital ID, it's on an app on your phone, that's your identification. They roll it up into money as well. They start putting other details on there, like have you been vaccinated or not, other sort of information like that. You're one big file on you. How far away are we then to them going, oh, if you don't have a vaccination on your ID, you can't work? Not that far at all. You need to have a fully compliant digital ID, otherwise you cannot work. It's not that far at all. It's your digital ID, your digital ID is void. You don't have the COVID vaccine. It's not that far off. That's what I worry about, what it's going to lead to. Like I said, it's a gradual process. And, if push came to shove, I'd have to get on board with it, because at the end of the day, I'm deep into life now. If I was about 18 and this is all kicking off, I might be more inclined to fucking join their revolution. But I'm not. I'm 36. I've got a family. I've got a mortgage. I've got a full-time job. I'm deep in the old rabbit hole there. So, it depends on what stage in life you're at. It depends on how much you're going to kick off. You know what I mean? But in my personal opinion, I think it's opening up Pandora's box to central authority being able to control every aspect of your life, down to injecting inoculations created in a laboratory against your will. And digital ID is where it's going to start. And it actually started a lot before that. It all started with the whole censorship thing, the control aspect. That's where it started, actually. But it's gradual, like I said before, so people don't even notice. People didn't notice when the censorship thing started off, and look where we're at now. It's absolutely fucking absurd. It's well out of hand. Censorship is where all of this fucking started, and it's all about control, state control of your speech, and now your actions. That's the natural evolution of this type of government. Do you remember in the children's nursery rhymes ages ago when they changed Baa black sheep to, you have to say Baa rainbow sheep or Baa yellow sheep or something like that? That was in 2006. That's when all this started off. That's nearly 20 years ago. 20 years later, we're in a situation of handing our entire freedom over to the state. And it all started with Baa fucking rainbow sheep, if you trace it. Yeah, control of language has progressively snowballed for years now. In 2025 alone, 12,000 people have been arrested for offensive online communications, they call it. That averages out for 30 people a day. And the worrying thing about the rules behind this, I've looked into it, is they're extremely ambiguous. So I've got the offences under the Online Safety Act 2023 here, okay, which was it came into force on January 2024, and here's some of the stuff that's in there that you can get arrested for, and you can get up to 2 years in prison for. There's one: grossly offensive, indecent, obscene, or menacing content. Menacing content. How can you disseminate what's fucking menacing? This category is broadly interpreted and covers communications that are shocking, outrageous, or go beyond the boundaries of what is tolerable in civil society. Well, that is largely open to interpretation, isn't it? I'd say. Encouraging or assisting in serious self-harm, fair enough. Threatening communications, fair enough. False communications, sending a message known to be false with the intent to cause non-trivial psychological or physical harm. Again, extremely ambiguous, open to interpretation. It's like they can just, I mean, a lot of that is justified. I'm sure there is a lot of people out there who are messaging people or putting posts out maliciously to cause harm to people. And yes, that is wrong. I'm sure there's people out there with genuine malicious communications that they should get in trouble for. But I feel like with this sort of act in place that's so ambiguous, it's like they can arrest you now and they'll just make up the details later. They can. It's not black and white enough. It's just one big slab of fucking grey area there, and it's designed to be able to control people and what they can and can't say. I think it needs to be way more specific than that. It must be all this must be a confusing time for like the hard left, because they generally have been behind all of this censorship business of language and what you can and can't say this whole time. And they also tend to support migration. So, but they also value their privacy a lot. But now all of a sudden, the left agenda has got to a point where it wants to crack down on migration and pin the population down with digital ID to crack down on migration on that with digital. I mean, it's sort of like the Pied Piper has turned around with the biggest gotcha moment of all time. And I think it's despicable what's going on, really. This is why I'm a conscientious objector, because, there's always a hidden agenda. Politics is just rotten to the core with manipulation, corruption, exploitation. And that's why, I won't talk about politics again on this podcast. But like I say, like I've said before, every now and then a topic likes to dip its toes or a little knee into the water of politics, and I think this is what this was done here. But I wanted to do a bit about the Chinese social credit score system for quite some time anyway, and this seems like the perfect opportunity to do so. So let me incorporate it into a new little feature there. And I'm going to call this feature, I'm just going to call this feature Chinese. It's just going to be called Chinese, and it goes a little something like this. Chinese. So here it is, the feature I'm just calling Chinese. And just a cheeky little disclaimer. So I'm going to be talking about the Chinese social credit score system, and but I have done quite a bit of research on this, and there's a lot of sources that say that the Chinese social credit score system doesn't exist and it's just Western propaganda. But I'm not sure how to think about that, because if that's indeed true and it's all just Western propaganda to fuel hatred against the Chinese, I don't know why. I mean, I've got no beef with the Chinese. I don't think anyone really does. I don't see why they would want everyone to hate China. We don't really have much to do with them. I mean, a lot of our clobber, a lot of our stuff just says made in China on it. I like to get a Chinese from the Chinese takeaway every now and then. But other than that, I don't really have a lot to do with them. So why? What's the incentive to getting the public to hate the Chinese? So I don't get that. I don't think it is true. I don't think it is propaganda. I think that's bullshit. Because as well as that, the amount of stuff out there about the Chinese social credit score system, if that was all fake, somebody's put a fucking lot of effort into creating all of that content. I mean, I've watched a documentary about the Chinese social credit score system, and there was this bloke in it talking Chinese in China, breaking down, crying in tears. This like 40-odd-year-old bloke because his life's been destroyed, and he's in debt and he's had to become bankrupt, and he's stuck in this horrible situation. He's fully crying. Like, they would have had to get actors, camera crews. I mean, he was a good actor if he was an actor, and it's just like, really, all of that effort just to make British people think that there's a social credit score system in China, which doesn't make sense anyway, because they're trying to roll out the digital ID in England. So if anything, that would make us not want to get the digital ID. If they're making us want to believe that there's a social credit score system in China, which is almost like a more evolved version of the digital ID in the first place. So it makes no sense whatsoever. Just thinking about it now, actually. I just came to that revelation now. No, it's bullshit. It's definitely not. So that being said, let's move on. So the Chinese social credit score system, what is it? So basically, now in layman's terms, it's just a score, right, on an app and on the government system of how trustworthy that you are. And your score dictates what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. It has restrictions and it has benefits. And what you do is you're monitored on what you buy, who you associate with, your hobbies, your behaviors, your habits, all of that stuff. In China, there's 700 million cameras across China, right? And that's half the cameras in the world. Half the cameras in the world are just in China alone. So when you're mooching about any city or town in China, no matter what you're fucking doing, you're likely to be on camera, especially in the districts where they've rolled out this social credit score system, because they rely heavily on surveillance. They're always watching you. They know what you do. You can be docked points, and you're like, fucking hell, how do they know what I'm doing? They know. It's like the fucking KGB in the Soviet Union again over there. They've probably got fucking cameras in the walls. They can hear your phone calls and all that sort of shit. No exaggeration. But there's various provinces in China trialing this system. Because don't forget, China's fucking massive. It's close to the size of Europe. It's fucking huge. If they tried to roll this out across the whole of fucking China, it wouldn't work. So they're starting in provinces, and they're sort of proving the concept, and they'll roll it out later. I think it started off, and I think it's a bit of a grey area. They say it's voluntary. They say it's sort of a voluntary. You don't have to do it, but the problem is they roll it out in a province, and they say, yeah, you don't have to get it, but if you don't, your life is going to be very fucking difficult. So it's like they say it's voluntary, but it isn't, because they'll just fucking put restrictions in place on you anyway, unless you have it. So it's sort of like an opt-in or you're fucked type situation. So they're rolling it out, and you're marked down. So everyone's score, right, on this app starts with 1,000. You get given 1,000 points straight off the bat. There you go. That's what you get. I think that's like average. Off you go. You got your 1,000 points, right? Everyone go. And then you're marked down for certain stuff like drinking alcohol. And they know this because it tracks your purchases. This app, it knows what you're buying. So it knows when you drink alcohol. It knows when you play. It tries to discourage certain behaviors like video games, even things like slagging off the government. If you get caught slagging off the government, you get docked points. Jaywalking, littering, any sort of behaviors they're trying to discourage, then you'll get docked points for. Imagine that if you're trying to go out for a beer and you've got to be like, well, if I go out and have 6 beers tonight, I'm going to lose 80 points. Is it worth it? No, I haven't done enough good deeds this week. My points are low. I can't go out for a beer. It'll be like that. But I think a lot of people just wouldn't go out drinking because of how dangerous it gets when you don't have a good score. And we'll get onto that in a minute. But if you do have a good score, you get certain privileges, like you can take out bigger loans, you can use e-bikes with no hassle. You can get faster hospital wait times, which is fucking savage. Children can go to better schools if the parents have got a better social credit score. You get discounts on public transport. You get better employment opportunities. Like, for example, certain employers will say, right, we only take people on who've got 1,500 social credit score points. Any less than that, we don't take you on. You also get tax breaks as well. If you've got a better score, you pay less tax. It's all like that. So What happens if you get a bad credit score? I hear you fucking ask. Well, you can get banned from using public transport. Imagine if you have to get a train to work and your points for, I think if they dip below 600 or whatever, I think you start to get in serious shit. You can't use public transport. You can't use planes. You're banned from certain restaurants. There's certain restaurants that you can't go in unless you've got over a certain amount of social credit. Awful. There's certain hotels you can't use if you don't have enough social credit. You can even lose your job. Your internet access can get restricted. Even the qualifications that you gained at school and university can get taken away if you get blacklisted. And you get blacklisted by falling below 400 points or something like that. Then you're on a blacklist. Then you're fucked. You can lose your job. You can lose your home. You can lose your qualifications. You can get publicly shamed as well. If you become blacklisted, you're then on a blacklist list. And what happens is you get publicly shamed on TV. They go, oh, here's who's been blacklisted today. And they put your name and your photo out on TV. And they out you in front of everyone. They even have these like big sort of like billboard, these big screens around the cities. And if you've just been caught jaywalking or littering, or if you've got bad social credit, you put your face up on a big screen and go, look at this cunt. This cunt has got a bad score. What's even darker than that, there's this app that you can get, a separate app on your phone that allows you to see people around you who have bad social credit. So if you get blacklisted, you have no privacy. So if you're walking down the street and there's someone who's blacklisted, within 100 meters or whatever, you can see where they are, what they're doing almost, because it depends on if they're in a restaurant, you know where they are. If they have bad credit, it's not good, is it? Last year alone in China, 23 million train and plane tickets were blocked from being purchased because the people trying to purchase the tickets didn't have enough social credit to be able to purchase them. They're being banned. Fucking awful, isn't it? So they're testing out this system in cities such as Rocheng, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Suining and Suzhou. And they say it's voluntary. But if you refuse, you just get put straight onto a blacklist anyway. So it's not really, is it? You know what I mean? One of the most fucked up things about the social credit score system over there is that you've got these sort of undercover enforcers, these information collectors, they're called, these agents. And it's their job to go around and they've got access to everyone. They know if they're standing in front of you, they know who you are because you've got the app. They know they've got a special app. They know everyone. And they take notes down on good and bad deeds conducted by people in their areas. So, for example, if there's someone helping a drunk person getting into their house, whatever, or helping an old person across the road, if you get spotted by one of these agents, they write you up as a good deed, and you get given points added on. But if you get seen getting into a fight or littering or just doing anything that goes against the approved behaviors of the Chinese government, then you get written up. If you get caught spreading rumors, they call it, about the government or slagging the government in any way by one of these information collectors, you get docked fucking points. Imagine how much power these information collectors hold. They could literally ruin your fucking life. Imagine if your neighbor was one of these agents. You'd be fucking nice to that neighbor, wouldn't you? They'd be getting a lovely little Christmas card through the post. Fuck it now. They could destroy you. And I bet they're on good money as well. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty fucked up system. My thoughts on it are, my initial thoughts were, surely it's easy to manipulate. If I had bad credit, I was like, shit, I need some more credit. I'd be like, right, I'll get a mate, and I'd get him to, I don't know, fucking stub his toe or something, and I'd help him across the road. I'd just keep helping him across roads everywhere until I get seen by one of these information collectors, and I'd try and get some good points. I'd get a cat in a tree, and then I'd go and get it out of the tree when one of the information collectors is around. I'd go around doing good deeds. I'd just go litter picking. Imagine if you went litter picking for a day. Imagine how many points you get for that. Just voluntary community service. You just go out there with a fucking litter picker and hope for the best. Surely it's quite easy to manipulate like that. And the other thing is, surely it's easy to be, corrupt. Surely it's easily corruptible as well. I bet these agents, for example, If they didn't like someone, they can destroy their lives. And the whole thing does just stink of corruption in general, to be fair. Another thought I had was, sure, on a positive light, it would be a good excuse not to go out. Because sometimes, when you got mates, it's great to have mates, but every now and then you just want to stay in, don't you? You just want to stay in for no apparent reason. You're just quite comfortable, just watching a bit of telly. You don't want to go out, but you get a message saying you're coming out, and you've got a choice. Then you either got to lie and say you got plans, or you can be honest and just say I don't want to go out with you now, which sounds like harsh. I don't know why. I don't know why it's like a faux pas to say I'm good. I'm going to stay in. Why do you always have to have a reason? You always have to have a fucking reason for some reason. Anyway, that would be a good reason, wouldn't it? You could say, sorry, I haven't got enough social credit points. I need to start saving up my points again. My points are too low for me to go out. Sorry. So that would be quite good. And then I was thinking, how would it work going out for a beer? Because you'd say you could afford your beer. You got enough money, you can go out and have a few beers, but you're going to get docked points. So would you have to save up points? Say you've got 1,000 points, you're going to go, right, if I do enough good deeds this week, I get another 100 points, and I can use those 100 points to get pissed on Friday. Is it like that? I don't know. I think there's a small part of me that would quite enjoy the challenge of trying to get points and trying to also, as well as that, as trying to get away with stuff without getting docked points. I think I'd enjoy that little challenge. I think I'd also like wind people up as well, because I reckon there's certain things you could do to people to dock them a couple of points, and it would just be funny. If it's just a couple of points, it would be funny, wouldn't it? It's like the game we used to play when I was in Northampton. We used to go into WH Smith, and we used to peel off the security tags, and then chuck them in people's bags or stick them to people's stuff. So then and then we'd sit outside and we'd wait, and when they'd come out, the alarm would go off, and then the security guards would come over and search them. It's fucking hilarious. So I reckon I'd do stuff like that and try and get people docked points just for a laugh. I just reminded me actually. So when we used to terrorise that shopping centre, there was this once I bought this spray. You have to get that spray to make your shoes waterproof. If you get a new pair of walking boots, you spray it down with this stuff. Well, in the shopping centre, I did that. I just got a fresh pair of boots, and then we noticed that if you get some of that spray on that hard marble type shopping centre floor, it makes it fucking super slippy, like ice slippy, ridiculous slippy. And so we were like, all right, this would be funny. Let's spray a big section of the floor and sit back and watch. So we did it. And then the first fucking person to come along with this fucking woman on crutches, we were like, oh shit. Oh my God, she went down like a sack of shit. And, it was hilarious. You can't deny that. You can't deny pure comedy when it's in front of you. Whether it's right or wrong, that's a separate argument. Was it funny? Absolutely. So that was good. Anyway, I've got loads more on shopping centres and stuff like that in Northampton, but I'm going to drip feed it in because there's just too much. I could do a whole podcast on that alone. Anyway, back to the Chinese social credit score system. When they roll out it nationally, as a mandatory requirement, I'd be surprised. There's a small bit of me that'd be surprised if there wasn't some sort of revolution, because it is quite overbearing, sort of totalitarian type leadership, isn't it? And people don't like that. A lot of people don't like that. But the problem is, it's going to be hard because public gatherings are banned in China. So how can a revolution start if you can't have a fucking group of people, 4 or more people in one place? Article 35 of the Chinese Constitution technically protects the rights to assembly, procession, and demonstration. However, these freedoms are severely restricted in practice. You have to have a permit. You have to have government approval. You know what I mean? They're not going to approve that, are they? Imagine that hitting their desk. Oh, we've got an application for a revolution. Obviously, that's going to get fucking immediately denied, isn't it? In America, they're way more equipped to have a big revolution or a civil war or anything like that, because everyone's got guns. Everyone's got the right to bear arms in every single state in America. You've got the right to bear arms. Obviously, you have to have a license, and you have to have the correct paperwork and blah blah blah. but you can get a gun if you want. And not only that, but they've got loads of what they call private security companies, and they're all like, armed up to the fucking teeth. And depending on what side they wanted to fight for, everyone's fucking armed. It could easily fucking degenerate into a civil war over there. I'm surprised it hasn't yet. I mean, come on. They owe us something. A cheeky little civil war would, I think, satisfy a lot of people in terms of news. Like I've said before, the news has been a bit shit recently. Gaza, they've given us is Gaza, kicking off in Gaza. It's been kicking off there for ages. They've said it's peacetime now. It won't last for long. And then it's going to be new news. Oh, it's kicking off in Gaza again. Yeah, it's old news. We know. Just tell us. I tell you what, just don't tell us about Gaza until it hasn't kicked off in, let's say, 12 months. There's a reasonable enough time to just go, oh, breaking. It's not kicked off in Gaza for 12 months. I will take that as news. Other than that, if it's kicking off or de-escalating or anything like that, just keep it off the news. It's boring. But if it kicked off in America, Civil War, that would be a tasty bit of news. Give me some of that. Yes, please. So, yeah, I think a little bit more entertainment on the news is better because that's what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? Entertainment, like politics, football. It's all the same. You know what I mean? Anyway, we're pretty chilled out here in the UK. We have the odd riot, like the French do. But it always simmers down eventually, innit? There's only so long you can fucking riot for. Innit? We have riots. Something happens and everyone kicks off. They start setting fire to bins in London and Birmingham and things like that. It lasts about 3 days and everyone goes home. I think the police don't do much when they're there. They just sort of contain it. They just show presence. Everywhere gets looted. Everyone's had enough fun. And they go home. Because really and honestly, how long can you revolt for like that before you just get tired and bored? You get bored of doing the same thing, no matter what you do. Imagine if you're out there rioting for fucking like a week straight. You'd be like, fucking hell, I've set fire to 30 bins this week. There's no more bins left. What should we set fire to now? Before you're like, right, all that's left is set fire to our own homes. We can do that. Or no. Right. What should we do? Should we go for a Chinese? No, everywhere's closed because of riots. It would just start to piss people off. It would start to piss the people who are rioting off that nothing's open. So I think it always just simmers down eventually, just naturally. People kick off and then they go home and they wait for the Chinese to open again and they'll have a Chinese. But yeah, it's like anything. Get bored of it. Ping pong. Ping pong's great, especially if you go on holiday. Ping pong table, you think, awesome. I could play that all day. You can't. It's surprisingly tiring. I get a sweat on when I play ping pong. After about 5 minutes, I'm sweating. And then I can go for about another 20 minutes and I'm bored of ping pong. Even though I thought it was going to be awesome for ages. Eventually, it becomes boring. And I think it's the same with rioting. My sister got done once at some sort of demonstration. And she got arrested. And it was for impeding traffic. And I was like, fucking hell, they're really pulling it out of their ass now. Impeding traffic. I think it got thrown out in the end anyway. I mean, there are some ridiculous things you can get done for out there. The most ridiculous thing I got done for, right, was when I was in Exeter, sorry. And I got done for being drunk and incapable. I didn't even know that was a charge. What happened was, right, we're out there, we're having a few Old Rosies. Anyone doesn't know what Old Rosie is? It's a strong cider. It's about 7.5%, something like that. I think I had about 5 or 6. That was enough. We were on a little boat trip cruise. We were doing a River Ex from somewhere down to Exmouth. It took us about 2 or 3 days. And when we got there, we celebrated by just having a few Old Rosies. And I had a few too many. And I ended up having to lie down in someone's front garden because I just couldn't walk anymore. I needed to lie down. I needed to wait until I could vomit, because that's what it gets like sometimes, isn't it? You know it's coming, so you just lie down and wait to be sick. And that's what I was doing. Just in a swirly little state there in someone's garden. So I told my mates to fuck off and leave me alone. I'll be alright in a bit. So they did. And then I just sort of drifted off into La La Land. And then the next thing I know, I've got the police sort of yanking me around, going, oh, can you walk in a straight line? I was like, I just want to lie in this garden. They're like, no, you can't. You're not allowed to lie there. Someone's private property. Get out of there. Can you walk in a straight line? They decided they couldn't set me loose. I had to prove to them that I could walk in a straight line first. So I tried and failed. Couldn't do it. So they fucking banged me up. They're like, right, you can't walk. We have to arrest you, unfortunately. I didn't know what the charge was until the morning. And then I woke up in this cell. They gave me some breakfast. It's not always the best breakfast in a cell. Anyone who's never been in a cell before, you go in, it's sort of like bleak. It's white painted walls, grey floor, and a blue white cleanable mattress. And then they give you a blanket and a pillow as well. And then if you're awake when you get there, they tend to offer you food and a drink. And then in the morning, they give you breakfast. And it's usually something like cornflakes and a cup of tea. Anyway, I had my cornflakes, proved to them that I wasn't pissed anymore. Because they don't like to let you out until you're sober as well. A lot of the time, if you get pissed, you wake up pissed. And they know that. So they wait until you're sober. And anyway, proved I was sober, ate my cornflakes like a good little boy. They let me out and I said, right, what was all this all about then? They said, oh, drunk and incapable. Drunk and incapable? Fucking hell, £80. £80 it cost me for that little stay in the cell there in Exmouth. But the good thing about it was, I left out there. I was secretly a little bit pissed still. I was in a good mood. And I shouldn't have been because I just paid 80 quid to sleep on a fucking foam mattress. Anyway, I was like, right, I'm in a predicament now because I need to find my mates in Exeter. And I haven't got a fucking clue where they are. All I know is there should be a tent under a bridge somewhere where we pitched up. So I'll head in that general direction to see if I bump into them. Anyway, got to the pub where we drank the old Rosie. Needed a poo. Like, right, I'll take my opportunity now for a poo. And anyway, anyone who knows this, if you drink a lot of cider the night before, you need a poo the next morning. It always smells like vinegar. Anyway, I went in there and had a nice, did my business. And then I opened the door and there was my mate standing there, big smile on his face. And he's like, how are you? And I was like, how are you? And we both laughed because it was funny that we both needed a poo at exactly the same time and went to exactly the same place. It was a great little coincidence. And then we just got on with the rest of I don't know what we did after that. But my other mate vowed never to get into a boat again because I pushed him in the river. But I said that was his fault, right? And I put it out into public opinion. But I think you'd do the same if it was you, right? Now, I was just messing around in a boat, as you do. I'm meant to be having fun, yeah? This is meant to be a fun boat trip. It's not like fucking military fucking boat trip, is it? It's a bit of fun. Anyway, one of my mates, he's trying to get out of the boat. He's got one leg in the boat and he's got one leg on the bank. And I thought it'd be funny just to slowly push the boat away. So we started doing the splits. He started doing the splits. I thought it was fucking hilarious. He sort of like nearly fell in and then landed in the boat. And then his response to that was that he spat in his hand and slapped me around the face. Now I say that's an over-exaggeration for a jovial act. I say he took it one step further than it needed to go. So what I did in response was then just pushed him into the river. I just flat out just pushed him in the river. And I think that was even Stevens after that. And, he got out, climbed onto the bank, piss wet through, of course. And I've just discovered what that means. And I'll talk about that in a second. He got out of the river, sorry, piss wet through, standing there dripping. And he said, I will never get in that boat again. I will never get in that boat again. And he didn't. And I don't think he's got in any boat ever again because he was seething. He was seethingly angry. But, I'd say it was a justified act. And we had a good time apart from that, you know what I mean? But anyway, piss wet through. I realised what that means this morning. Well, I know what it means. It means you're wet, doesn't it? You go out in the rain, you come in, you go, I'm fucking piss wet through. I'm piss wet through. But why? Why piss? Why piss wet through? And I realised the other morning when got up in the morning, and if your baby or a toddler's pissed a lot during the night, if their nappy's got full and it's full and they piss, it comes through the nappy into their baby grow. And I was like, woke up in the morning, I was like, oh shit, the piss is wet through and I was like, the piss wet through, of course. And I was like, that's where it fucking comes from. So I had a little moment of revelation there. But yeah, she's at a good stage at the minute, my little girl. It's quite fun hanging out with her at the minute. She started to copy what noises you make and things like that. I started going, and she looks at me and goes, And obviously, I don't know when people go, it means they're thinking about something, or they're suspicious, or they're they're sort of like considering something, aren't they? But she's just making the noise. She doesn't know why. But when she's doing it, she looks like she's doing it because she's carefully considering something. And it's fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious when a 17-month-old child goes, at you. It's fucking hilarious. I just couldn't stop laughing. And then I thought, I'm going to try and get her to make other noises. So I was going, la, 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 ba, 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 ba. And she got the ba, ba, ba bit, but not the la, la, la bit. And I thought, this is good. I'm going to have her singing in no time. I can't wait until we can have a little sing-song together and to harmonise and things like that. I think, she's going to be good I think she's going to enjoy music because I'm going to pass it down the line. I've already got a guitar for her. I jumped the gun a little bit, but I found a fucking outstanding deal in a charity shop. I've managed to find a Fender guitar. Looks basically pristine. It's next to new. If you keep your eyes peeled, you can get some good shit in charity shops. And I think I paid about 40 quid for it, but it's fucking new. And that's like, I'll give that to her when she's about 13, 14, something like that. Pass it down the line. But anyway, that pretty much wraps things up for today. And I'd like to thank you for returning and listening to the old podcast. Not that I wouldn't do it if you weren't listening. I'd do it anyway. I told my mate it's like building sandcastles. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Making podcasts." They're like, "Why are you doing that?" It's like making sandcastles on the beach for me. I'm just playing in the sand. I don't need people to come and look at the sandcastles. I enjoy making them. If every now and then someone walks past and goes, "I like that sandcastle," I go, "Thank you very much. I enjoyed making it." And I enjoyed making today's sandcastle. Anyway, I'm going to move swiftly on. I'm going to have a cheeky little nap. And I can't wait for this one because my eyes are starting to swell up. I'm a tired boy today. I've got swelly eyes. I've got frog eye. If I'm really tired, I'll get something called frog eye. And we get it from my old man. I get it. My sister gets it. And it's when like your bottom eyelid sort of swells up. And you can feel your eyes closing. And you just got two half fucking golf balls on the bottom of each eye. And it's even worse when only one of them's swelled up. It's better when they're both fucking gone frog eye because at least it's even. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go and have a little nap. Make sure my frog eye doesn't develop. And I'll see you all next week for another invigorating episode of the Kill a Bit of Time podcast. Thanks for listening. And I'll leave you with whatever the fuck I've come up with to end this episode right about here. Enjoy. So what I've decided to do to try and get to the bottom of whether the Chinese social credit score system is real or just Western propaganda is just to call a few Chinese takeaways and just ask them directly. Who's better to ask than a real Chinese? So I'm going to bell up a few people and try and get to the bottom of this. Find out where the truth lies. All right, and then after that, that's it, and I'll see you later. Hi there, I was just wondering if you had a minute to talk about the Chinese social credit score system.
Sorry?
The Chinese social credit score system.
Yeah?
Because some people say it's just Western propaganda, and I was wondering what your opinion on it is.
Sorry, can you call back about 5 o'clock?
About 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And you can talk about it then?
No time, busy.
Or what's a good time?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock. Call back.
We can talk about it at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, cheers, mate. Bye. A bit suspicious, that one.
Hello, China City, can I help you?
Hi there. I was just wondering if you had a minute to talk about the Chinese social credit score system.
What do you after? The credit card?
No, the credit score system.
Oh, no, we don't need it. Okay, sorry.
Would you like? Do you have a minute to talk about how it may have affected you? I mean, a lot of people say it's Western.
We don't need anything else. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Seemed a bit cagey there. What's he trying to hide?
Hello?
Hi there. I'm trying to find out if the Chinese credit score system is real or not, and I was wondering if you might be able to help me. Does it exist?
Sorry?
The Chinese credit score system.
Chinese what system?
The Chinese credit score system.
I don't know what you mean.
You've never heard of that?
No.
Have you ever lived in China?
Yes.
And you've never heard of anything called the Chinese social credit score system at all?
No.
Do you think that may just be Western propaganda then?
Sorry?
Do you think there's a chance it could just be Western propaganda?
I don't know. It could be. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Sorry.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your help. Appreciate that.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye. Well, killed a bit of time, didn't it? See you in a bit.